All right. It looks to me like we're on Facebook,
I see some people.
and we are on Zoom. So welcome everyone as you're rolling on in. Our guest today just popped out to get some all-important coffee. I've got mine right here. And so we'll let you guys get checked in here. Hello, good morning.
How's it going, everybody?
Good morning. So I don't know if Clay, if you can see where the participants are rolling in. Can you see that?
I don't know.
If you go down to the bottom, you'll see participants at the bottom of your screen.
Uh-oh. Okay. Or just it's cool.
Yeah, I'm just gonna let you guys handle all of that. I'm on my phone, so like I don't know if it's the same. I can see that we're live and recording on Facebook, so hello Facebook friends. You know, that's about all I got.
Okay.
This is my first Zoom, my first live Zoom session, so.
It's good. It's good.
Cool.
All right, Christy, you want to start us off by thanking our sponsors?
I will. I'm just saying hi and let us know where you're at. I am typing into Facebook, and so if you are joining us from Zoom, go ahead and let us know where you're coming from. My name is Christy Wodak, and I'm the Education Outreach Director in Traverse City, and we're excited to have you guys here today on this. I don't know where you're coming from, but when I went on my morning walk this morning at 6:30, it was like pelting hail, snow, rain. It was pretty crazy. So it's a good day to just be inside and have some coffee or tea, and you're in for a treat with a great conversation. So we want to thank our sponsors. We have Roast and Toast in Petoskey and Higher Ground Trading Coffee in Traverse City. At the conclusion of this event, we will draw a name from those attending the Zoom. We had some confusion last time. If you're registered through Zoom, we will enter your name and we will draw your name from there. So, and it's good to see, I can see some familiar names and some new people joining us as you're coming in today. So I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Liz, and then we will get going and introducing our guest.
Great. So I'm just going to say hi real quick, you guys. This is Liz Erlewine from our Petoskey location. I'm our visual arts director. We're so glad that you're here with us today on Zoom and or Facebook or checking it out in our recording after the fact. We're still glad to see you. And this is Coffee at 10, which we have moved from Tuesdays to Fridays. So we're so glad you found us here on a Friday. We have been doing this series on Zoom for months now, and we've been enjoying it. It gives us a chance to connect with a number of artists in a number of places and have just really fun, informal conversations about art and keeping art a part of our lives and finding out what some different artists are doing in their own practice. So today we get to actually be in a fun creative space with TC ClaySpace. For this, I'm going to turn it back over to Christy to let us know what's going on.
Yeah, so Liz and I worked on a theme for our fall programming, and it was collaboration. And I have been itching to have clay ceramics offered in Traverse City or Traverse City location. And for a lot of reasons, it just hasn't worked out. And I was able to reach out to Clay and Phil at ClaySpace TC. And they're actually offering some programming for students at Crooked Tree this fall. So I want to give a shout out to that, make sure everybody checks that out. But this is more than that. This is a unique collaboration that Clay and Phil have going on at their site, and they are creating a community clay center, ClaySpace. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Clay. I will make a little disclosure. There's a possibility Phil Wilson will join us, and Clay is going to give a little explanation where Phil's at. So there are two people, but today we're going to be talking, or right now we're going to start talking with Clay.
Cool. So like Christy and Liz said, my name is Clay Maas. I am the co-owner of ClaySpace TC. We're on like the Barlow Street area, if you're familiar with the Traverse City locations. My business partner and partner in crime here, Phil Wilson, is actually down at an art show So hopefully he can, pop in at some point, but who knows? He's kind of he's the flow of he's the yin to our yang here, right? So we have a really good working relationship when it came to starting the studio. And, I don't know where to start. I guess let's just go with, ClaySpace is a community-driven studio, right? So our main goal is just to bring people together centered around clay. And we offer such a variety of classroom settings and open studio settings, but it all comes back to that community aspect and bringing people together to collaborate on ideas, whether it's making a new form or a new type of firing or a new glaze combination, any of these things. We just really want to be a place where people can come, hang out, talk about clay, make some pots, and really meet new people. So Phil's—
That's awesome. Hey, Clay, how long have you guys been doing this?
So we had our soft opening in November of 2018, I believe. And then we officially opened as our first session started January of 2019. So we've been at this for, I think that's about 2 years or so, a year and a half, somewhere in that vicinity. We're just gearing up for our winter short session, which starts mid-November, and then we'll have that second official winter session starting in January. So we were really fortunate, Phil and I both. We came from Blackbird Arts, which was in the ClaySpace studio space prior to us, and we can't say enough. I guess I have to give Melissa Johnson a shout out. She really helped get us off the ground, not only with helping us rent the space and figuring things out, but just like being a person we can lean on and ask questions to, because Phil and I were coming into this purely as instructors. So we really didn't have a background in programming and setting up a schedule and a calendar and like registration and all these things that Melissa handled for the Blackbird side. And we just got a message that said, show up and teach here. It's fun. Right. So she was really instrumental in getting us going in a way that set us up for success and the success that we've had. So her, and then I guess, again, along with all of our students, we have such loyal people that come and make pots here. And, we wouldn't be here obviously without them, but I really want to make sure that they feel recognized in this situation, because really that's what makes it great for Phil and I to teach. And, without them, we'd kind of be, two crazy clay people wandering around aimlessly.
That's great. I love it. So can you just take us back just a little bit further? How did you come to working with clay? So,
man, I gotta say, I found this medium in college, really. I took a class when fall of my senior year, and I needed a 3D art credit. So I took hand building with clay, and I liked it, but I liked it enough to take it again. I never really found myself as much of a hand building person, but my current body of work is definitely influenced a lot, not only by Phil, but hand building techniques. But when I think about how I got into this, I liked it enough to try it again. And then I actually chose, this is where kind of I think back hindsight, I chose to take wheel throwing pottery versus web design. Like I have a BA in graphic design from the University of St. Francis in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I was on the track to like web design or graphic design major, web design, minor kind of thing. And I was like, nope, I'm going to make pottery. So
in your senior year.
Yeah. And it was 2 classes, I gravitated to the wheel. Like I found myself wanting to work on that class more than the graphic design stuff. And I love graphic design. I still do it. I still run a print shop. I do all these other things, but I'm always just drawn back to making pots in some way. And then I had a mentor. I had the opportunity with my first graphic design job in Ohio to work as an artist in resident at Defiance College, which was probably if I have to look back on becoming a potter like I am now, that's the defining time. Like I was really fortunate to have that opportunity and to find that space and to be able to learn Jason Stockman was the professor at Defiance at the time, and he taught me a lot, not only about like making pots, but like being a professional potter and understanding glaze chemistry a little bit more, and more of the ins and outs of pottery that you don't get from being a student. Firing kilns, all this stuff that's really been super important with what I do now, and I couldn't be here without that. But that 18 months that I got to spend working for Defiance, working as a resident there at the college, I got to spend so much time making pots. And where I'm fortunate, I guess, big time, is I didn't have to fret so much about selling them, right? So I got to do like the college experience where I just focus on making pots. And it took me almost 5 years to get to the point where I felt like I was ready to sell pottery. So I have my mom, who's watching, has a basement full of pottery at her house that my wife and I raid every time we go home, and we come back with one or two more things to fill our cabinets with. But that opportunity to really work on the form and find, and not necessarily find a voice, but find how I want to make pots, right? And really experiment with the size and proportion and like getting all these things that I felt were important in discovering, without the pressure of like trying to hustle this work when I really wasn't super confident in it yet as an artist and as a ceramicist. That's the hardest part. If we all have sold stuff before, is, man, if you're not buying into it, it's really hard to sell. And without that opportunity, I wouldn't be where I am and have the confidence to sell the pots that I do. Oops, water drip.
So I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but I think you bring up something that's so important especially when pricing work. Your piece, that was 5 years of working on coming up with a form that you feel comfortable. And I think people, when they purchase, especially ceramics, they may not be taking into consideration all that time that you have to get to this spot. So I'm glad you brought that up, whether you intended to make that point or not, but I'm gonna help keep driving it home.
Thank you. That's the hardest part. And it's really difficult in any job, in any medium, right? We talk about our value. We're not just valuing the hour that we spend, or the 2 hours we spend on the project. It's the time and the effort that went into learning, whether it's, carpentry or plumbing, or it's making pots or fine art painting. We all put a lot of time into, our craft and our skill set. And that's included in, the price of my mug is, 5 years of practice, 7 years, almost 8 years of practice, just to get to this form that I have in my hand that I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. It looks nothing like what I made 5 years ago, but like all of the principles are still there, how the handle feels. And, I just pulled this out of I didn't pull it out, but I don't use this one. I use some of my like seconds at home most of the time. And then I can feel the difference in how it's made. Like I picked up the handle and I was like, ooh, that's good. Compared to one that I made the same style of pot 4 years or last year even. So yeah. It's like, wow, it makes me feel really, it's just one of those moments and you're like, holy cow, this is really comfortable.
Yeah. Can you hold, there you go. Thank you.
So this is it's a green glaze, and then it actually has I don't know if you guys can see it, but a hexagon
nice.
Pattern on it. So I don't know if we want to go into that like process of making a pot, or you want to talk more about ClaySpace at this point. What seems to flow with you guys here?
Well, we're going to try to do it all. But I definitely want to talk about ClaySpace. What were you going to say, Liz?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to, I was there too. I just want to get a little bit more about how ClaySpace runs and how people can get involved. And then I totally want to hear more about what you make and how you get there and what you can show us there. But can you,
Stephen is a fellow ceramic artist, and he's like all into the technical. So
okay, let's recognize that first. That's okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll try to
hold that mug up for us. And
I'll touch on it a little more here in a little bit, or I'll kind of include it in what we do. So if you're looking to get involved with ClaySpace, head over to ClaySpaceTC.com. We have the list.
I put it in the chat, and we'll put it everywhere. Yeah.
Awesome. We appreciate that. So we offer a variety of classes for any kind of skill level and interest in pottery. So we go all the way from an advanced, more free-flowing class with Phil that is 8 weeks long. We offer intermediate where you're kind of like, I can kind of make a thing, but it's like I'm still learning to make a thing with intention. Like it may end up as a bowl, even though I wanted it to be a mug kind of thing. And then down to beginner classes where you come in completely green and you have little to no, expertise. You've never even maybe not sat down on the wheel before. We offer those in 8 week chunks, four times a year. How about this? Sorry. We offer 3 8-week sessions a year. And then over the summer, we do a 8-week instruction with 12 weeks of class. So we offer a lot of studio time, and we encourage our students to come in and practice as much as they can. So you get 2 hours of instruction with myself or Phil, and then 6 to 10 hours of time that the studio's open for you to come in and work and really practice and hone your skills a little bit. And most of the time, Phil, one of us is here so you can ask questions and do things like that. We offer single session classes as well. So 2 Thursdays a month, we do a try it class where you can pop in, you register online, you pop in, and you don't have to do all of the extra. You come in, you learn to make a thing on the wheel, experience it, get the full feeling of your hands in the clay and, spinning it around and, the struggle that you go through to get it. And then I take care of all of the firings and the glazing and all of the extra stuff. So you get to kind of experience the thing without jumping all the way into that 8-week session. And then once a month, we do a community class. So actually tomorrow we're doing monster mugs here in our shop. And then that changes kind of seasonally. It's once a month. It's the family version of this. So we really encourage, youngsters with their moms and dads or their grandmas or whoever they want to come with to come and make a thing and hang out and super informal. And then now we're doing the Crooked Tree middle youngsters, like youngsters independently, which is super cool. We've tried it here before, and I think it's just a better fit for us, for Phil and I, to work through you guys because you have a little more space and, a little more wiggle room for us. And we really enjoy coming out on location and spreading our love of clay as much as we can. So the Crooked Tree one's going to be fun. If you guys haven't checked it out, send your youngster over. We're going to make some cool stuff. So
yeah, that one's going to be a hand building workshop or a class.
Yeah, I can't bring 6 wheels over there. I don't have a truck. My little Subaru won't work that well, but.
So if you're kind of an experienced potter, but you don't have the chance or the space or whatever to have your own studio at home and you want to get involved with ClaySpace, is that 10-week kind of option that you were talking about?
The 10 weeks is if you're really wanting to kind of learn some more. Okay. But if you're an experienced potter, we do offer open studio memberships. So you can pay by the month, and that gets you access to the studio whenever a class is not going on. So you get more access than, a student with a little more access than a student who's in an 8-week session. And then you just buy your clay from us as you need it. And the purchasing of the clay actually includes all of the glazes and firings that you would need for that. Excuse me, coffee burp. But
what I love about that is the unintentional mentoring that's happening. So somebody who's new and maybe in that beginner class and they're there for some practice time, they might be working alongside somebody who's been a practicing ceramicist for a while. They're just using the space. So I think that's a nice opportunity for different levels to be mingling together. That's really a big part. We have everyone in our classes is so welcoming, right? And willing to help. So we have students who are in our advanced and intermediate to advanced classes who have been making clay in this space for a decade, whether it was with Blackbird for 7-8 years, and they've just migrated with us and been with us this whole time. And all of those people are so willing to help beginners and anyone. If you have a question and you're in here on a Saturday afternoon, there's a good chance one of those more advanced,
little bit more knowledge students is here working, and they're always welcome or willing to, oh, you should try this, or you should do that, or, if you wiggle this way, or, squish it this direction, you might get a better result. Again, it comes back to this community environment that not only that Melissa helped create before us, that we've continued to build on, that the students have bought into and built with, that really kind of lifts everyone up and kind of ups the game of all of us. Because, those young guys, or the young potters too, are new and starting out, not young age-wise, but young in the craft, right? I want to clarify that, I guess. You're a little motivated, right? You see what these advanced people are doing and what they're creating, and you're like, oh, I want to make that. Like, that's good. Like, I'm driven to make something as cool as that someday. And it really helps push the ideas forward and really like keep everyone moving, and allows us to kind of avoid that rut a little bit.
Right.
So we have a question, and I second it too. Stephen Stuchel here in Petoskey is asking, do you guys make your own glazes?
So I've made my own for my personal work. I transitioned out of it. We are in a pretty limited space in size-wise. If we could, I think we would transition to making our own. But right now, we buy glazes from the company we get our clay from, and they're really a nice creative thing. I'll show you guys the glaze board when we do the tour. We do some glazes from there. They're all cone 5. So we fire, our clay is a white stoneware, sorry, tangent. Our clay is a white stoneware that we fire to cone 5. But all of our glazes are, what's up?
Will you tell everybody how hot cone 5 is?
It's like 20 to 32, somewhere in there.
Right.
We have a fancy kiln. Like, technology is so great. I just type in the cone 5 and go and push go, and it goes up nice and easy. I don't have to worry about setting the ramp and the hold and the temperature per hour and all that stuff. It's came a long way from a cone setter and parametric cones, tipping it over to do that stuff.
Right.
It'd be fun, actually. I wish Phil was here because he can talk about that. His work, he actually does cone 10 porcelain reduction firing in a gas kiln.
Oh,
so
nice.
He still has the cones and all that stuff. And gosh, he could really give us some insight on that old school technique.
Is the glass kiln or the gas kiln, it's not on site, is it?
No. So Phil, he actually, for a long time, he was building pots and bisquing them in Traverse City. And then he, for 30 years or so, was a potter in Grand Rapids, and actually had a storefront, and his kiln and everything was down there. And he just sold his building maybe within the last year.
Oh.
And because he got to do that, he dismantled his kiln in Grand Rapids at his old shop, and has actually built a new shop on his property that he's got his new kiln in, and he's got his own workspace and all of this stuff that he's been like cranking on all summer to get caught up with. So hopefully someday we'll be able to take a field trip out there and see that finished product. The last time I saw it, we were putting roof joists up. So I haven't seen it in a couple of months.
So does he lives up here in Traverse City?
Yeah, Phil lives up on the peninsula. So
I was a little concerned when you said all this was happening down in Grand Rapids, because in my mind I thought he lived here.
The thing. He did that for since he's moved here. So I want to say he was firing his kiln in Grand Rapids for 7 to 10 years, maybe, driving bisque firing here at the studio, and then he would take like a whole weekend, like a Thursday to Sunday, and drive down Thursday morning and have to wax and glaze, mix up his glazes, all of this stuff, and then load his kiln and fire it, and then let it cool, drive it all back. His work is outstanding. If you guys, I would tell you to try to find him on the internet, but you can't. So,
but
I'll be sure to.
You can come to Mary Marketplace in Traverse City.
There it is. Yeah.
December 1st to the 5th.
His stuff is outstanding. Please check it out. It's really a good body of work for what he does, and his two glazes complement themselves really well, and his texture and his form are just, you can tell he's been crafting and coming up with this in evolving his ideas for 35 years as a studio potter. So
Right.
he really has a lot of inside information, and he's willing to share and to talk. So if you get to the Merry Market and Phil happens to be there, you know, ask him a question, you know, chew the fat with him a little bit and hang out, because he'd be happy to tell you a story about something that he did or a show that he was at or any of those things. So.
All right.
I'm wondering if our viewers would maybe need a little primer on some of those steps, because you threw out a lot of jargon that maybe some of us are familiar with and a lot of people aren't. So I wonder if you could tell us just really quickly a little bit about that process, right? The stages of firing and why he might have to travel to Grand Rapids to do that firing, right? Instead of on site there in Traverse City.
Yeah, again, it just comes down to space and access to like room. Space is the thing, right? So we're really kind of landlocked here, and a gas kiln is a fairly big thing. So it's a big brick building, or not big. It's probably like think of like a brick-sized closet, like a walk-in closet just made out of special bricks the whole time. And his was a car kiln, so you actually loaded the pots up, and you had rails that you could push it slowly, because it's all loaded with all of your work on shelves and everything, and you slowly push it in. And then it's just one of those things that building it takes a lot of energy, and then having the infrastructure in place, whether it's the hardline gas that he had. I believe he had a gas line that went almost right to his kiln there, or the gas line that he runs from his propane tank on his new property. But having that ability and that room, and, you know, like it's like a chimney kind of thing. So it moves up, and like you have to have all these things in place that we really just don't have, you know, space for or access.
Sure, but I guess what I'm wondering is you need to do that, right? Because the gas kiln's going to get to a different temperature and produce a different result on the glaze rather than what you're just firing there in the studio.
Yep. So he gets it up. He does a reduction firing. So he gets it up to the cone 10 temperature, which unfortunately it's been so long since I've cone 10, so I don't even remember what it is. It's pretty hot. And then you actually reduce the oxygen in the kiln itself, and that's what helps get the colors and the glazes to be what's going on. So you slowly reduce, hence the reduction firing, the amount of oxygen in the fire itself to get the result that you want. So what we do, the electric kiln that we fire to is oxidation. So it has the we don't have to slowly get the oxygen out. It just flows in the whole time. So just a different way of firing. I don't know if there's really a right or wrong. It's just your personal aesthetic and what you have, you know, the infrastructure and the physical space to do.
And it impacts the glazes quite a bit, depending on what type of firing.
It definitely changes the way glazes turn out and everything. In time wise, right? So my oxidation cone 5, when we fire here, we can get a kiln through the hoop in 24 hours. He's looking at 48 to 72 by the time it goes up to temperature, reduces, and then goes back down. So it's really that time commitment to do, you know, all of that extra work. And the product is outstanding. Like I said, his work is phenomenal, but like it's just, we just don't have the infrastructure at our location to do something like that, unfortunately.
Would you be able to give us a tour of the space there so people can see what you have going on?
Yeah, of course. So let me flip this magic thing around here. If I can figure, hey, there it is. Cool. So, all right. Good. I'm going to try not to make everyone seasick while I do this. I'm going to move very slow. So we're just going to walk over to the door. So when you come in here, you can kind of see what we're going at. So this is when you walk into the space, got a nice open area to work. So this is the room that has all of our, this is where all the students store their work. So if you sign up for an 8-week class, you'll get one of the shelves in the space. If you guys can see them around here, and you can see they're very full. Almost every section is full here like that. And as you work, we've got this nice like area for hand building or glazing or finishing your pots up and everything like that. As we come through, you can see, sorry, I'm like trying to not make everyone seasick. So all all of our glaze colors here. We have 11 different varieties, but we also encourage anyone who, if they're really particular about what glaze they use, as long as it's cone 5 and we can do a test tile first to kind of see how it interacts with our firing process, you're welcome to bring in, your own glazes as well. So we have a lot of advanced students who have their own Amico one that they're really attached to, or a Spectrum one they're really attached to, and they bring those in. So as we come through our little opening here, we come into the wheel room. Got a lot of, again, space and tools and stuff, damp boxes, all that stuff going on here. We do have 6 wheels, and we finally, I think, found an arrangement that is as COVID friendly as we possibly can, but also we've never done it like this before. And we've gotten a lot of compliments on how the space is laid out. And I really like it. It really gives us a lot of room and space to move around and stuff. So as we turn around, we got wedging table, slab roller for those hand building students and anyone who's really trying to explore or add stuff on. And then we have the studio manager who's here hanging out, tired because he got actually 2 walks today instead of 1. And then shelving for all of our greenware and our pots here that after the students make them, go onto the shelf. And then Phil and I actually handle all of the loading and unloading of the kiln. So we take a lot of onus off the students. We just feel it's a better way to kind of lessen the pressure on them. Cleanup station, not as exciting as you think, but it gets surprisingly messy. Splat or clay sink and trap and all that down there. So as we go through this door here, I'm gonna have to turn the light on, but this is our kiln room. Very tiny, but it does the job. And this little scut kiln fires probably 4 times a week. So we're humming along quite a bit, and especially this time mid-semester, where we're really starting to get our students into the groove, and they're making stuff, and things are kind of flying off the wheels and doing all that fun stuff. So like I was saying, our space is really limited, but we do the best we can to make the most out of every inch that we possibly can do. Does that give you guys?
Is it just you and Phil teaching there?
Yep. So Phil and I'm going to turn this back around if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So Phil and I handle all of the teaching and the maintenance and everything here. It's just something that we got into together, and we're not really at that point where we're ready for a third person. Maybe someday, but right now between Phil and I, we kind of have our shifts split up. He comes in and teaches all of the morning classes. So if you come in and you want, one of the 9:30 to 11:30 classes during the week, Phil's going to be the guy that's going to help you and get you going and get you rolling. And then if you're here in the evenings, that's going to be me and Lincoln hanging out and teaching you stuff there. So it just kind of works out that way. I don't know. We've never really talked about anything more than that or less. We just kind of, as Phil would say, we just roll with it. We just let it flow and kind of move and shake and adapt and wiggle the best we can, overall, I guess.
And then, so COVID obviously changed a lot of things, and that's hard. Like one of the years that you've been operating on your own was one of these crazy COVID years. So you mentioned how you spaced out your wheels. How many people do you guys have in a studio at once, or what other accommodations did you find you had to make?
So we follow the guidelines. We limit it to 10 total, like in the indoor space guidelines, but we're really lucky situationally, just overall, right? With the COVID situation, our wheel classes are limited to 6 total. So during the 2 hours that you're here working on the wheel, there's going to be no more than 7 people in the studio with you at a time, right? And then all of our classes are maxed out to be under 10. So hand building is, maxes at 6, which we have 3 or 4 right now. And then we really are conscious about how many students we have. But again, we're really lucky that our classes weren't overly extended to begin with. So we didn't have to adjust a lot of stuff. And yeah, we do, you do wear your mask. I don't have it on now so you can see me, but when you come into the studio, we wear a mask, we wash our hands, we sign in, sign out, just tracking stuff, just trying to cover our bases. Phil and I cleaned more than what we did. Not that we didn't clean enough, but we clean differently than what we did. Used to be, we just, mop the floors, empty the buckets, kind of try to keep the dust down. But now we sanitize common surfaces, twice a day. We do a lot more thinking about how students interact and how I teach, and like, okay, guys, time out how you go to the wedging table to pick out a piece of clay if you're in a try-it class, and figure out like, okay, we can't all go to the sink and clean up at the same time, kind of thing. And that's the stuff we've really been reiterating. And again, our students have been so supportive and helpful in implementing these things and understanding that this isn't easy for any of us, but again, those guys are the real like people, the champions of this. They I can't say enough to the students who stuck with us when we had to shut down for the spring semester. And we had so many students who I had to send an email out and be like, hey guys, I don't mean to do this, but we have to shut the shop down for this spring semester. And he's very nosy, so I excuse him. Hey, you.
During the shutdown, did you have, could people work with clay at home and then drop it off for firing?
We encouraged anyone who was signed up for a spring class to take their clay home with them, and then drop it off as they could. But I guess before my dog so kindly interrupted me, I just want to really, again, thank those students who, we gave a lot of them the options to get a refund for their 8-week class or just move it forward to another one. And we were so lucky that we had almost all of them push it to the next session. And by doing that, that allowed us to really help cover our overhead to get us through that when we weren't, teaching and weren't doing anything. So, because of their generosity and their love for pottery and their love for the studio space, we were able to be in a position to come back after we could open up again. And like, it really, makes me feel good that those people care so much about the studio and love to make pottery so much that they'd be willing to do that, when I know, some of us out there are really struggling, with work and jobs and all the things that are going on. So for them to be able to make that sacrifice, it would be great.
Well, I think that that's a testament to that you have created a community, and that's been your goal. And I think that's such a reflection of the community that you've created. So hats off to you. It goes two ways. It goes two ways. Let's see. There was a question in Facebook about, do we know, are there any wood firing kilns in the area, northern Michigan?
Yeah, and I think Steve's in Petoskey. So this is to you, Clay, but also I know we have some potters attending here, Steven Stuchel. So if you know of
I don't know any wood firing guys off the top of my head. I know there's a couple of folks out in Leelanau County that do some gas soda firing stuff. I can't remember his name. I apologize if you're watching. Your stuff is fantastic. It's in Leland. He had a shop in Leland the last time I saw. It's never been open when I've been there because it's always like a weird time, like 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. But I've looked through the window and it's just amazing stuff. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't know much about that in terms of community-wise. It just is one of those things. Again, like the gas kiln, it takes so much energy and time, and even more than a gas kiln, the wood firing, like it's a big process, right? So not only your gas is like, you can just turn the gas on and slowly turn the knob, but with a wood firing, like when we were in college, it took us 24 hours in 4 shifts to like load like someone's got to be there all the time, staying awake, stoking the fire, making sure it's going up in temperature at the right ramp, and like everything's kind of flowing and the heat's doing everything, all of that stuff. I see someone's got somebody in the wood firing, which is great. We do a raku firing though. So actually on Saturday, not this Saturday, the 24th, we're going to do a raku firing here. So we have a bunch of students. We have more. It's really great. We actually have more students participating in our raku than we've ever had before. So we're really.
Is that something people can come see? Because that's a fun.
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. If you guys, if you're in the area next Saturday, we're going to get things rolling mid-morning or so. So if you come around 1 or noon, you'll get to see us open up the kiln and start taking pots out. If you've never seen a raku before, I really encourage you to YouTube it or Google it and see the process, because it is quite exciting. You know, the pots come out red hot and they go right into the combustible material, and it's really quite a thing to see. So even if you can't make it out, I encourage you to you know, give yourself a quick Google search and watch a video or two, because you won't be disappointed.
Will you, on your Facebook, will you do any of that live, or maybe show some videos later on?
I'm going to record as many videos as I can, but our kiln is a unique one. Phil actually built it out of fiber material, that flame retardant fiber material. So for us, when we're ready to do the combustible part, Phil and I actually have to lift up the kiln and move it around. So hopefully I may swing one of our great students into, you know, camera operator role. But once we get started and the kiln comes off, it's really a mad dash to get everything still hot into the combustibles. And like Phil and I are using the tongs and the gloves to get pots in. We got people like opening trash cans and one person throwing the sawdust and another, like it's a really unique endeavor, but it's really fun to be a part of. And again, I encourage you to, if you can't stop by, you know, we'll have some videos up and stuff, but it should be a blast.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's very dynamic to watch.
So Steve, on Facebook, just note that Steve on Zoom is saying that Mike Taylor at West Michigan Clay does wood firing workshops, and he's outside of Holland. So since you can't see those two chats, I just wanted to put that in.
Yeah,
there.
something's popping up. I saw something say, "Oh, in Holland," and I was like, "Oh, well, cool." Yeah, that's awesome.
And I'm going to make a plug. We've got a Zoom scheduled in November with Zach Tate from NMC, and he's the head of ceramics.
Oh, he's super cool.
And
Sorry, we met him a couple weeks ago. He's super awesome.
He's amazing. He's amazing. His vision is to be able to offer wood firing and soda firing on campus. He's like, it's a community campus. So everybody who's here today is asking these questions, come back in November, and we'll make sure, Zach, we get these ideas all coming together. So
I hope it gives you guys a tour. I had been in the area for a couple of years and hadn't been to the NMC like pottery section at all. And oh man, if you haven't been over there just to the art building, I know it's not like super cool to just show up and walk around right now, but even if you can just walk around the outside of the building there, it is just a beautiful, well-designed art studio building. We're really lucky to have that kind of like great space if you're in the college stuff.
Oh, and Stephen is offering people to come into NCMC in Petoskey. So
cool.
We've got two art studios to go visit.
Yeah, I have not been to that one, but maybe the next time I'm up there, I'll look him up to stop in and say hi. Yeah, it's always fun to chat with people.
He helps us out here in our pottery studio at Crooked Tree Petoskey, but then runs the ceramics at NCMC. And then we have someone asking, where is this center? New to the area. So Clay, you want to describe one more time where you're at, and then we'll point out some others that you get involved with, Liz?
Yeah, so we are located, the best direction I can give, we're on Barlow Street. If you're coming in from South Airport, it's driving north from South Airport Road. We're a little bit north of the post office, almost to Boone Street a little bit. We're kind of in a, it's an office-y type building in a little bit. So it is in Traverse City, yes.
By the Secretary of State. I feel like that.
Yeah, Secretary of State, post office. If you drive past those, there's, I think it's the Pool Doctors now or something, is Caddy Corner. It used to be Larry's Pool and Spa. We're down here. Like we're in this kind of neighborhood corridor area, you know, down that direction. And if you can't find us, you can reach out, you know, Facebook or whatever messenger you'd like. I try to respond as quick as I can. Not always, but I do my best. I hope that helps everyone find us here.
Yeah, that's great. I can't wait to check it out next time I'm in town. And so Christy's working on getting clay offerings at Crooked Tree, Traverse City there. But that's now in collaboration with Clay and the crew over there at TC ClaySpace. And then Liz, if you are connected in Petoskey, we do have ceramics offerings and pottery options through the Crooked Tree Art Center Petoskey. And then as Steven Stuchel mentioned in the chat there, he at times teaches for us, but also teaches at NCMC. So if you want to get involved with a pottery studio in the Petoskey area, those are two options there too. So I have to say, you know, I'm still relatively new to Northern Michigan, and I just love seeing how pottery exists here, and it's so much for that community, like you point out. You know, I mean, the people who teach with us here at Crooked Tree Petoskey, shout out to Jim Beckering and of course, Steven Stuchel again, you know, that involvement is so much about passing the love of the craft on and getting people to engage with it and keep it going in our region. So it's cool to see that there are so many options there. I'm just chatting.
Let's see, NC Liz from Liz Myers, NCMC. Oh, Northern. You want to what? How do you say it? Northern Michigan.
North Central Michigan.
There we go.
College.
There we go.
And you are Northwestern Michigan.
NMC Northwestern Michigan College.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Too many acronyms.
Yeah. Good.
So, hey, Clay, can we go back? I know that Stephen had some questions a little more specific about the mug that you were showing. Can you tell us, since we've got a few minutes left, just a little bit about your own creative work? And you said, you know, how it's evolved over the years and whatever you've got there to show us. Can we take a look?
Yeah, I'll flip the camera around after I kind of give a little, you know, kind of how I got to this body of work, I guess. I started how most people do with the traditional mug form. I really worked on making this perfect mug. Like I wanted it to be like perfectly round, perfectly balanced. And as you grow and you evolve as an artist, you find that perfect doesn't exist really. And then that maybe imperfect's not as bad as you think it is. So if you would look back at work that I made, you know, a couple of years ago, everything is thrown on the wheel and it's perfectly round and it's like this very well proportioned looking thing. And now the work that I'm making it's got a little wiggle and a little motion, and you know, no pot is the same. The process is the same, but you know, I try to insert some variables that can give it a little movement and interest that goes that way. So I do still throw on the wheel. Everything looks rather hand built, but I throw my mugs and my vases and stuff without a bottom, and then I kind of manipulate them and get some texture on there. Try not to give all of my like tips and secrets away. Sometimes you got to explore a little bit. So you take what I give you and you connect the dots and make a thing, and we'll talk. But yeah, so like some of these mugs, if you just look like the top, it's not perfectly round. I put the bottoms on and I attach the handle, and it's just, I like the idea that they're not all perfectly identical. And I spent such a long time trying to make and work on this perfect identical thing every time. And then one day I'm like, I don't want to make it perfect identical anymore. Like I want to be able to make what I like to make. And this has really allowed for a lot of creative freedom and a lot less pressure on myself, because I put so much on it to make, again, those perfect pots, that now I'm like, you know what, it's going to be great. And it's going to be unique to the individual who buys it or uses it, because it's not going to look like anything else that they have in their cabinet, really, to me. I'm sure there's other potters that are doing similar stuff out there, but really, you know, how many people have like an ovally looking mug, you know, compared to that? Or I guess the other ones I have here are all really straight, but like a vase, you know, an ovally looking, you know, vase with a cool texture on it that, you know, you don't see very often. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and just give you guys a quick little, I set up a few pots here. You can kind of see what's going on. All of this will be in some capacity at the market in Traverse City. So, you know,
Great.
I'm gonna try to be there as much as I can throughout the week, you know, in between other jobs and stuff. So yep. I'd love to chat. If you guys feel free to stop by and hang out for a little bit, but here we go. Let's flip this around again. Boop. There's the dog over there sleeping, because he does that a lot. So you can see these are some of the mug, that same mug form that we were talking about earlier. You can see that texture a little more. I do these nice little small bud vases that are really nice for a desk or an office space where, you know, a single flower or two looks really nice. A nice tall texture vase here. Get really close, you can see without the glare, the texture on there. Yeah. And then, you know, some more organic I call them this like the organic collection. You know, that mug is not perfectly round on the top, but then I do also do like a more traditional style mug. You know, these are a matching set for a wedding or anniversary or some, you know, personal thing that you want to do, like that. Nice little glaze there, some more medium to small vases, and then some plates and bigger kind of serving style dishes here. You know, this is weird. Sorry, I like this pots, but like I'm like zooming in, like, all right, does this look okay? And how does this look? The mug
is the honeycomb texture something new? I feel like I didn't see that last year.
It is. So I evolved the work a little bit. So I had a line texture that I used to do on there, and I just found that it didn't fit with the style. I used I have a square texture and a dot texture, and I was like, it's good, but it just didn't. It didn't feel like it felt like it was part of it. The colors were the same, the style was the same, but it was just different enough that I didn't love it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I switched to the hexagon one, which is a little more attractive of a shape, and it also continues that more pattern-like feel. With the dots are a pattern, the squares are a pattern, the hexagons are a pattern versus just vertical lines, which I know are a pattern, but it's not the same like pattern.
Right.
In my mind. Sorry if that's really confusing, but the idea that it's, you know, it's more radial or whatever you want to call it. Gosh, the glare is terrible. Sorry, guys.
Oh no, it's good. It's good.
Gives a sense of the dimension, so it's actually fine.
Yeah.
So if someone wanted to buy your work, in addition to, I guess, your presence at the Merry Makers, where else could they look for it? Is it there at the ClaySpace, and what is your pricing like?
So we don't sell any pots here. We're not a retail store. We can put you in connection with, if you pop in and you see something you like, we're happy to kind of broker and facilitate you to buy something from one of our students through them directly. We don't have like display space or anything like that here. I have a couple of pots at Great Lakes Bath and Body downtown, some soap dishes and some other things like that. I have work at Tinker Studio up on Old Mission Peninsula. If you happen to stop in while you're, you know, out wine tasting up there, it's great, like nice, warm, cozy little place. And then I have some pots in Sutton's Bay at Sport Tile Art up there. And then Sport Tile Art just opened a shop in the Grand Traverse Commons that I have some pots in. And then if you're not in Traverse City and not in the area, my website just popped up there. You're welcome to go and check that out. And you can get a little bit more detailed view of what's going on there, and you can buy pots and stuff from there. If you're looking to buy Phil's pots, Phil has some pots in the Tinker Studio as well. That's the only, unfortunately, I feel bad not plugging him anymore. But if you can get a hold of ClaySpace, I will be happy to get you in touch with Phil so you can talk to him, because he is super old school and he does art fairs. And he's in a couple of galleries around town here. I think, maybe not, I don't know. I know he's in the one in Old Mission, and then he does art fairs. So like I said, he's down in Ann Arbor hustling his pots right now. But if you really want to see his work, Tinker Studio, you can see it for sure. And I'm sure there's other places that you can go. But yeah, his stuff's really cool. So if you really want to see it, I will help you find it.
And let's see, Liz just popped up. She's looking for a local network. Liz, I think you found your network right here. I think you need to get in touch with Clay at ClaySpace TC, and you can give me and send me your email at christy@crookedtree.org, and I would be happy to start connecting the dots.
Cool, we appreciate it.
Yeah,
and if you have those youngsters that are really interested in this, the hand building one we're going to do at Crooked Tree is going to be super fun. I really enjoy, that's my favorite group to teach, really, the experimental nature of how they build with clay and how they experience it is so fun, because they're so much more free flowing and working, and like they're just like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. Like, I don't care if you tell me it's not going to work, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do it anyway, and then you're going to fix it. So I don't care. And it's kind of fun that that's the attitude that they have, and they're honest, and they just like create from the heart and the soul, and really just make fun things. And, you know, Phil and I just try to facilitate that that part. And I do want to mention, we do also work with Arts for All up here in Northern Michigan. So Phil has been teaching special ed classroom for a long time as well. So we do and try to continue that outreach in the community and provide, clay opportunities for folks of any way. I don't know the right way to say that, but we really want to include everyone in this.
Yep.
So if you're looking and you're worried about something that's going on, reach out to us and we'll really work as hard as we can to make sure you can get your hands in the clay if you really want to. So
yeah, all abilities, all experience levels.
Yep.
Perfect.
Cool.
All right. So as a reminder, we have Merry Marketplace happening at Crooked Tree in Traverse City. We typically would do obviously our summer art fair, which we had to cancel. And then around the holidays, we do a holiday one day, or actually it ends up being 2 days. I forgot about that. It's a Friday afternoon and a Saturday event. And because of COVID, we just don't want to have those crowds. So we're going to have a pop-up shop, and it's a week long. It'll be, the hours will be on the website. And I think we're going to have like 13 to 19 artists that will have their work there. And one-way traffic, you can come in and see a variety of different things. And some artists will show up and be available to answer questions like Clay has suggested he'll be able to do, and maybe Phil. So it's a nice opportunity to shop and meet some of the local artists. Yeah. So, all right. So it looks like we're coming down to the end here, and we want to watch our time for a couple of reasons, because we're going to post this on YouTube and our website. And if we go past an hour, it just makes things very complicated. So it looks like Liz is getting ready to do a drawing.
I am. So this is our lucky coffee winner. Make sure this person, do I see this person on my list? I'm going off our pre-registration. This is one reason why it's nice to pre-register, but I don't have that person in attendance. All right, here we go.
And you can come and shop at both of our locations and find a handmade mug. Merry Marketplace will have some, and I think there's some up there right now in Petoskey. So you should show up to a coffee at 10 with a handmade mug.
All right, here we go. We have our winner. Our winner is Marilyn Rebant.
Rebant, yay! Maryland's.
Okay.
Congratulations, Maryland.
Yeah.
So do you know, is that a TC
Yeah,
person?
Maryland's in Traverse City.
All right, so we'll hook you up with higher grounds.
Yep, I will get in touch with Maryland. And we just had a question from Stephen. Clay, is that your real birth name?
My response normally is yes, all 4 letters. I don't have, there's no Clayton, there's no any extra thing. That's just what it is. I'll have to ask my mom and dad. She's on here watching, but
yeah, your mom is on here.
Yeah, she'll be the one that would tell you a little more where it is, but where it came from, it just is. I don't.
Meant to be is.
Yeah, I don't know if I technically really believe in that, but it definitely that's just kind of how it worked out, and it's lucky. I'm lucky and coincidentally to have a name and an art form that are connected like that. So it's kind of cool.
All right, everybody. Make sure you go check out ClaySpace TC. If you can come Saturday, a week from tomorrow, to see
October
the raccoon
24th.
firing.
Yep.
And between the 2 locations, hopefully we can hook you up with some clay opportunities. So thanks everybody for coming. And Clay, thank you so much. And give Phil our regards.
We will. I'll bust his chops a little bit for listening.
So it's all good.
All right, thanks.
See you later, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.